So what's going on guys, Kids here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you a new updated Lost Ark tier list for PvP and PvE. So this game in general has a bunch of fun classes to play, and we have a very unique variety to choose from. But the big question is, which classes can actually perform the best and do the highest damage and much more. So I've done a bunch of testing and here's the best tier list that you've been waiting for, including all the new released classes. So, if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So then moving over to the first class, which is the Bard, and she gets to be in the S tier. So Bard is a support class. She can cast shields, attack buffs and heals to her allies, which makes her very valuable in raids and dungeons. Then in PvP, she focuses on keeping allies alive and buffed, while being very annoying to the enemies. The Bard is immobile and not easy class, as you must know the correct timing and placement of your supporting skills. But overall, the Bard is a healer type of class, that if you come from any other MMORPG, then this is the closest thing to a healer that Lost Ark has to offer. So then moving over to the second class, which I will put at the S tier, and it is the Paladin. So the Paladin is the second support type of class. He has yellow and blue skills. Yellow skills activate your support abilities, and blue skills are meant for damage. As you are support, this class is wanted in any type of endgame content. Then as well, the Paladin has the best damage boosting support in the game. Then in PvP, he can be very annoying if played correctly. But this class is not the easiest to pick up, since you have to be very quick with the supporting skills, and you have to be capable of placing them at the correct area. So then moving over to my next personal favorite class, which is the sorceress, and we want to put her right next to the paladin. So sorceress is a typical mage class that focuses on casting spells. In PvE, she has two builds where you have a good sustained DPS and mobility, or have a huge amount of burst but not as much mobility. This class has very short but good dodge skills. Then in PvP, it performs very well. She has good range on skills and can peel very well. The main issue is that if you get focused, you don't have that many tools to deal with the enemy. And the hardest part about the sorceress is decision making for both PvP and PvE. Due to the lack of the mobility, you have to position yourself carefully. But if you get used to it, then you will do the highest damage numbers in the game. So then for the fourth class, we have the striker, and he gets to be in the S tier. So striker is a fast-paced brawler class. He deals quick hits and does pretty high DPS. This class is very similar to the wardancer, but the striker has faster playstyle and does more damage. Overall, this is a great class with a nice attack speed buff for the whole team, and he has a very fun bursty playstyle that will deal consistent damage in both PvE and PvP. So then for one of the last S tier classes, we have the berserker. This is a bit of a slow class that deals massive amounts of damage. Generally, he is regarded as one of the top DPS classes for solo and group content. His identity skill is the burst mode, that gives him boosts in power and a special skill to use. Then in PvP, the berserker is a very strong new player killer, but climbing high in rankings will be difficult, because the berserkers are easy to outplay. So overall, this class is very easy to pick up and learn. In PvE, if you're using one of my two builds, then you will be able to do a crazy amount of AoE damage. And by the way, if you're interested in the berserker build, or any other class builds, then check my channel for the best build guides in Lost Ark. So then moving over to the next one, which is the artist, and we want to include her right in the S tier. So artist is a support type of class. She provides healing, damage buffs and shields. She has attack speed buffs, movement speed buffs and 25% HP healing orbs. It has a unique mechanic that allows her to create portals which your teammates can interact with and teleport to the artist location. She has one ultimate that debuffs the enemy crit resistance, and the second one with powerful shields. So overall, this is one of the newer release classes that has the perfect balance between support with healing and damage buffing at the same time. So if you can decide to go with damage/defense buffs as a paladin, or go with a bard that gives mainly healing, then the artist is the perfect balance. So then for the next class, we have the arcanist, and she gets to be placed right in the S tier. This class is a card-based spellcaster. She has RNG mechanics in her identity skill. This is definitely not an easy class to pick up and play, because of her unique identity skill. but overall she has great damage and feels very strong in both PvP and PvE. I personally love how good this class is at zoning and catching enemies off guard. So no matter what type of content you're playing, Arcanist will have all the tools that you want in your arsenal. So then for the next one we have the female berserker, aka the Slayer, and she gets to be placed right next to the Arcanist. As I said, the Slayer is a melee warrior similar to the berserker, who steers up the battlefield with burst mode and a unique specialty skill that deals devastating damage in melee range. Successful attacks with the Slayer will fill the Fury specialty meter, which then when full can trigger a burst mode, and during that burst mode the Slayer's damage and movement speed is greatly increased, and a specialty skill called Bloodlust can be used to unleash powerful slashes and stabs. So if you really like melee combat, and if you got bored of the berserker, then Slayer is definitely worth a try. So then for the next class we have the artillerist, and we will place him right in the A tier. So the artillerist is a slow gunner class. He has good damage and can summon a bunch of turrets that can help you to boost your DPS. This class is quite tanky yet very sluggish, so many people won't find him as fun or easy to get into. Then in PvP he can hold an area easily with his identity skill. I don't recommend to play this class for a new player, but if you're experienced and don't mind the slow gameplay, then in good player hands this class will feel very powerful. So then for the next one we have the deathblade that gets to be placed right next to the artillerist. So deathblade is a rogue / assassin type of class. She has great damage, good debuffs and overall performs very good. Then in PvP she's kinda annoying, because she can have a lot of freezing skills in her kit. In general, deathblade is very mobile class, fairly easy to pick up and play, and most importantly, with the right build you will be able to do super high damage. So then for the next one we have the gunslinger that gets to be placed right in the A tier. So the gunslinger is one of the hardest classes to learn for PvP and PvE. This class is very similar with the deadeye but still very different. Gunslinger mainly uses his rifle to do damage. He's easier to play than deadeye and can reach full damage potential much faster. And then lastly in PvP, this class is definitely annoying to face up against, as he has a lot of utility and mobility. That makes this class very strong, and if you play it right then you will do crazy amount of damage and interrupts. And then for one of the last A tier classes we have the destroyer. This is a slow and very hard hitting class. He has a lot of shielding from his skills, and he can do a lot of damage in few combos. In PvP, the destroyer is very annoying to deal with, as he can catch you easily with his powerful skills. So overall, destroyer is very good and not hard to class to pick up, and do very well with. And if you want to be more tanky with a lot more CC skills, then pick the destroyer over the berserker. So then moving over to the next class, which is the glaivier, and we want to include him right in the A tier. This is a spear wielding class. He's very fast paced that has to swap between two weapons. Glaivier has to charge 3 orbs and then swap to the second weapon to get a huge damage boost. And interestingly enough, this is the only class with a real counter skill. In PvP, the glaivier is very strong and fun class to use. So overall I really recommend to at least try this one out. Then for the next class we have the gunlancer, which deserves to be placed right next to the glaivier. So the gunlancer is the tankiest class that the game has to offer. This class makes PvE content very easy and enjoyable. You can face the boss head on, making it easier for your teammates to hit the boss from behind, while you are tanking most of the damage. But do keep in mind that this class also does good damage, so you can tank as much damage as you do in return. This is a very safe and easy class to pick up for a new player. So overall, if you're a solo PvE player, or if you're looking for the closest thing to a tank in Lost Ark, then this is the class for you. So then for the next one we have the summoner, and she gets to be placed right in the A tier. This is a class that deals with summons. She can still cast some shields and do a lot of damage as well. She is a very nice class to learn raids with, since you're always dealing damage from afar. In PvP, this class is annoying to deal with because she's a strong backup for any team composition. So overall the summoner is very immobile, easy class to pick up, and do very well with for any beginner or veteran player. And then for the last and final A tier class, we have the Reaper. So Reaper is a true assassin class. If you enjoy rogue type of playstyle, then this is the one for you. She has a lot of stealth, teleport, and poison based attacks. Reaper as well has two different playstyles. One is the burst mode with the moon engraving for sustained DPS that uses the thirst engraving. Difference is little between these builds, but overall the moon setup is just a bit better. This class has very good DPS. In PvP she also feels very good and fun class to play with. Most of your skills will move you, so she is very mobile class and probably one of the fastest classes in the game. So then for the next one we have the Shadowhunter, and he gets to be placed right in the B tier. So the Shadowhunter is a demon based class. In PvE she plays more like a fighter rather than assassin. She has good range on skills and damage, and there are two ways to play this class. The first build focuses on demonic form, where you get a bunch of fun abilities to use, but then you get a bit less damage. For the second one build disables the demon form, and you purely use your human form skills for the highest damage possible. Then in PvP, transformation makes the enemies scared of you, if you're especially playing against newer players. So overall, this is a fairly easy class to pick up and learn. The playstyle of the Shadowhunter is super fun and skill spammy. And then finally, you will be able to do a bunch of damage, no matter what type of spell combo you use. So then for one of the last classes that gets to be in the B tier, and it is the wardancer. So like I mentioned, for the striker, the wardancer is a fast-paced fighter class. In PvE, she deals quick hits and does pretty nice DPS. For your playstyle, you have to charge orbs to deal your highest damage numbers. Most people use the no orb engraving for easier play, but it's up to you. In PvP, this class is hard to master but easy to pick up. Overall, the wardancer is a great class with a nice attack speed buff for the whole team, so it's more team oriented than the striker. And then for the last and final B tier class, we have the aeromancer. The aeromancer is one of the newest classes in Lost Ark. With the power of mystical illusion, she is able to manipulate the weather to devastating effect on the battlefield, or fight to vanquish the enemies with spectacular flourishes of her umbrella. The aeromancer's identity is the sun shower. The sun meter will be filled as the aeromancer hits enemies with his skills, and sun shower can be used when the meter fills all the way up, providing a dual benefit of offense and defense. So when you activate the sun shower, the basic attacks and movement skill will involve. So while you're attacking, nearby enemies are consistently damaged, and your teammates and yourself damage received from the enemies is reduced. So if you're looking for a fun and powerful mix between a support and a ranged damage, then this is the class for you. So then for the next class we have the sharpshooter that gets to be placed right in the C tier. So the sharpshooter is a bow user type of class. He uses a bird as his identity skill. If you just take a look at the raw damage numbers, then this class does more damage than few other classes in the B tier. But it's only good for pure damage. Besides anything else, you can't really offer anything to your team. So by counting in the playstyle, no buffs or stagger, no real positioning for the endgame, and as you don't really see this class being played by the top tier players, so that's why he's in this tier. And then in PvP, he's a very difficult class to fight against, as your enemies always have to look out for the sharpshooter, as he has a stealth ability that makes him invisible. So overall, this is an easy class to use, and he has a basic playstyle with simple damage skills. So then for the next class we have the scouter, aka the machinist, that gets to be placed right in the C tier. As this class you technically play two characters at the same time, so you can use drone skills while casting gunner skills, but you cannot cast skills that are drone and gunner combined. There are two ways to play the class. One is based on transformation legacy engraving, and the other one being used on the drone. And overall the machinist feels like an Iron Man that looks very cool, especially with his identity skill that makes him do insane amount of laser damage. And then for the last and final C tier class we have the deadeye. So deadeye in PvE is a hard class that has to use 3 different weapons. The main DPS weapon is the shotgun. This class is strong and can be even top DPS if you manage everything perfectly. The issue with this class is that it's super squishy and it's very easy to get killed while using your shotgun skill. Then in PvP this class is great and it's very mobile and annoying to deal against. Overall this is a very hard class to pick up and get used to, and in hardcore PvP it will require a low ping to perform to its maximum potential. For easier and very similar playstyle, I would pick the gunslinger, but if you want to take up on a challenge, then good luck. So then moving over to the next class, which I will put at the last D tier, and it is the soulfist. The soulfist identity is very unusual. She has 3 paces that you can put her in. Each pace makes her stronger and stronger, and if you run out of mana, then you have to regenerate to full before you can cast again. Then in PvP it's very mobile and has good engages to annoy the enemy players. Overall, this class has the strongest awakening skill in the game, and it is a very good class by just damage numbers themselves. And then for the last and final D tier class, we have the Scrapper. So Scrapper has 2 ways to play this class. The first build has slow high damage kills, and it's called the Shock build. Or then the second one is more mobile, with consistent DPS type and a bit more lower damage, and it's called Taijutsu. Both playstyles deal around the same damage in a long run. Then in PvP, this class is pretty strong since it's very mobile and has good approaches. So overall, this is easy class to pick up. The different mana bars might feel weird at the start, but it won't be too difficult to get used to. And that's about it. So I really do appreciate everyone for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback, or maybe you have a different idea about a class on this Lost Ark tier list, then you are feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. Like I said in the middle of the video, if you like any of these classes, and if you're looking for the highest damage build, then I have made specific guides for every single class. So just scroll through my channel and you will find the best build for you. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe, and enable that notification bell. So this way you could support the channel and you would not miss any more upcoming content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day and I will see you in my next video. So take it easy. Peace.